I'm still not sure how to frame the week we just had. Drama on the Hill, or from shutdown to showdown, or the honeymoon is over, the challenges ahead, a tale of two presidents, or was it simply the farce before Christmas? Let's ask my political panel, former Congressman Carlos Carbello and co-founder of All In Together, Lauren Leader. Carlos, I'll start with you. Is it fair to say that Donald Trump and Elon Musk have just unleashed a new kind of chaos in Washington? And what have you learned this week from Musk's influence on Trump? Who's calling the shots here? Who between the two?
Well, Rev, it really does look like Elon Musk is almost a co-president, and I think that's remarkable. But what's also remarkable is that I think a lot of people assumed that when Elon Musk, Donald Trump would tell Republicans in Congress to jump, people would be asking how high. Well, look, we already have two instances, the Gaetz nomination in the Senate that was shot down by Senate Republicans immediately. And then you had Musk and Trump ask for this bill and threaten some members of the House. And that bill got 174 votes, I think, out of 435. So you said, the honeymoon might be over. I don't think this honeymoon ever started. I think this is going to be some rough going for the Trump administration in the next Congress if they think they're just going to be able to dictate to an evenly divided Congress what they have to do.
Now, Lauren, staying with this shutdown's fascinating mess, it appears that this saga is threatening Congressman Mike Johnson's ability to return as the Speaker. His own base turned against a deal he suggested, and now some Republicans are talking about replacing him. And remember that the Speaker election is January 3rd. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, he was always going to be on a razor's edge. Just to maintain the leadership was already so difficult. I mean, just ask Kevin McCarthy and the, 11, 12, 13, 14 votes that it took for him to come and become Speaker for a hot minute before they booted him out. And Mike Johnson's always faced the same kind of perilous situation. I think Johnson actually has been sort of surprisingly effective in his ability to work both sides, his own caucus, and then to, constantly appease Trump. But we'll see. I was thinking as you were talking about what happened with this looming almost shutdown, the dynamics have changed because, members of Congress do understand, first of all, that Trump has not always been successful when he's tried to run people against them. It is not always a winning strategy. And second of all, assuming he doesn't try to, again, ignore the Constitution, he's president for 4 years and then he's gone. And that means that it's a different political calculus. I think for sure it is for the senators. And, Trump may be surprised that and actually many of us may be surprised that some of these Republican members, may not always fall in line exactly with what he wants them to do. And I think no one would be more surprised than Trump himself.
Carlos, what is your thoughts about the potential unseating of Mike Johnson?
Yeah, look, Mike Johnson's always kind of been on thin ice. He arrived at the speakership because Republicans were so divided, and he was the candidate for Speaker who had the least enemies, really who had no enemies, because Mike Johnson really had not been in any prominent leadership roles before ascending to the speakership. So there's a lot of instability in the House Republican Conference, clearly a lot of frustration, and with the two top positions being occupied by members from Louisiana, Johnson and Steve Scalise, who's the majority leader, I do think there's some members who are going to be making the case that there should be different leadership in the House. So we'll see how this all plays out. We know the last vote for House Speaker at the beginning of this Congress was, a whole week of tension and instability and chaos. We'll see. I don't think this is going to be a lot smoother than that.
Lauren, you run an organization that encourages women to vote, be advocates, and become politically active. So I want your opinion on the following. The House Ethics Committee report into former Congressman Matt Gaetz is expected to be released at any moment. Is it looking it is looking into the conduct and misconduct allegations against Gaetz, including that he had sex with a minor and an allegation that he denies. What is really the story here? What do you expect we could learn from it?
I mean, look, there is a certain salaciousness to the Matt Gaetz story. And, it tells you something about his relationships in Congress that, he had to withdraw from Trump's, cabinet nomination so quickly, just given how damning I suspect the allegations will be in this report. We already know a lot of it. It's been made public. We know that he was sharing, pornographic material on the floor of the House. But, I want to make a larger point, Rev, because you did set it up as the importance of women's political participation. This kind of harassing, horrific treatment of women and girls has become so routine in the Trump administration. I mean, from Trump on down. And since he's been in public life, he's made it clear that he has no problem surrounding himself with people who abuse women. And he himself has been credibly accused of abusing women. And so to see more and more of this over and over again, these men behaving in truly deplorable ways, getting the kind of attention that they get from this president, it's very discouraging for women. And I hope that the blowback will be sufficient and effective when the truth comes out about how abominable Matt Gaetz has behaved over so many years.
Carlos, you served in Congress, so I want to hear your opinion on President-elect Trump suggesting that he would try to prosecute his political opponents. And this week, House Republicans gave him an opening with a report recommending that former GOP Congresswoman Liz Cheney be prosecuted by the FBI for her role in the committee investigating the January 6th attack. What are your thoughts?
Well, two things, Rev. Number one, I think we have to take Donald Trump seriously. There's a lot of people out there who will tell you, well, he's joking around. This is just a strategy, a tactic. Donald Trump said that one of the reasons he was running was for vengeance. So he has to be taken seriously. And even though he's now saying that he's not going to be personally involved in going after anyone, he has also kind of given carte blanche to some of his nominees, say, well, so-and-so will look into it if they think it's appropriate. So this has to be taken seriously. The other thing I'll tell you, which I think is also important, is that there are a sufficient number of Republicans still in Congress who believe in American institutions, who want to protect the integrity of our institutions. So whatever Trump's administration decides to do, if it's way out of bounds, I think you're going to see a pretty serious reaction from Congress, from members of both parties.
All right. Thank you to former Congressman Carlos Carbello and co-founder of All In Together, Lauren Leader. Coming up.